play. Trent, you have been a great Liverpool player. Was that one of your best moments in the red shirt?
For sure. I think I've had some good moments in the stadium, to be honest. Scored a few goals here. But no, I think being so close to winning the title now, yeah, I think my first game back from injury as well, it was an important game for me. I was excited to be back. I put in a lot of hard work over the last few weeks to get back fit. And I'm eager to play. And I was happy to contribute with the goal. It was a big one.
You say you've had some great moments in the stadium. I'm picturing 2019. You stood there very similar in front of the Liverpool fans.
Yeah, very similar indeed. And I'm pretty sure that's my first left-foot goal in my career as well. So it's taken a few years, but got there in the end.
Do you know, they texted me that, the stats department. But I couldn't believe that, but you obviously knew straight away.
Yeah, that's probably the one type of goal I've been missing, but no, I saved it for the right time. Being so close to win the league now. I think it's one win away now, very close, and to do, especially with fans here as well, is a very, very special moment.
Alexis, you just stood there with a big grin on your face, which I guess tells us a lot.
Yeah, of course, really happy, not just for the team, but for Trent. He's been working really, really hard to come back, so this is a present for him. I hope he can enjoy it with these amazing fans. I'm pretty sure he deserves it.
What did it mean to have, well, a couple of moments actually with the Liverpool fans as you charged towards them when you scored? And I just noticed at the end there, I think it was Virgil just shoved you forward to take the applause.
Yeah, of course. I think, he's pushed me to the front to soak it in, get up close and personal. The way fans are always amazing. The fans have been outstanding again this season. They pushed us every game until the final minutes, and they've done that again today. And they've helped us win the game. You can still hear them now all there celebrating. As much as we do it for ourselves and do it for our families, we do it for the fans as well. They're the ones that travel to games, spend the money to come watch us play. So at the least they deserve is to see us give 100% on the pitch and win games, and to be so close to sealing for some of us a second league title, and for a lot of us a first league title. But especially in front of fans, which is what we've been missing, is very special.
Listen, there's one more burning question. You know it's coming. I don't know if you can give an answer. How many special moments left for you in the Liverpool shirt?
Look, obviously, like I've said all season, I'm not going to speak on my situation. I'm not going to go into details. But these days like today are always special. Scoring goals, playing, winning games, being close to winning titles as well, being in title races. The special moments that will live with me forever, and I'm glad to be a part of them.
Well said. Can you do one more job for us? Player of the match, Alexis.
I don't know if I deserve it, but the most important thing is the win and that this guy scored.
Well said.
Thank you.
Alexis McAllister and Trent Alexander-Arnold. In a way, that interview was a lot like the game itself. We had to wait a long time for the goal. We were waiting for the Patrick Davison question to Trent Alexander-Arnold. We could have predicted, really, what the tone of the answer would be, but he had to ask it. Did we get any clues from the answer at all?
Not really, but I felt more an edge throughout that interview than I did the game, actually. Listen, he hasn't really spoken all season, which... Listen, we're getting to that stage of the season where he's got to, be speaking to the club in terms of what he is doing one way or another, whether a decision has already been made. I think most people feel that it has, so it's probably as difficult for him to give an honest answer if that decision has been made. But I think the frustration from the Liverpool supporters throughout this process is that at least with sort of Salah and Van Dijk, even though they've been coming out and speaking, and I was critical of Mo Salah early in the season about coming out about his own situation, but it was always on the remit that they wanted to stay. So I think that probably tells you having the situation with Trent being a local boy this season, getting the interview at the end, and we'll find out. There's only a few weeks to go, but I think most of us probably know what's going to happen.
Great moment, though, for Trent Alexander-Arnold as Liverpool move to within 3 points of the Premier League title. We'll reflect on that, and we'll reflect on Leicester's relegation. Just to round up what's been happening elsewhere today, Fulham are 1-0 up against Chelsea, but an injury time winner from Pedro Neto earned all 3 points for Chelsea, takes them back into the automatic Champions League spot. Manchester United beaten 1-0 at home by Wolves. Pablo Sarabia on target for Wolves, and that means they are officially safe and they move level on points with Manchester United. Earlier today, Arsenal with a 4-0 win at 10-man Ipswich. Remember, you can see highlights of all today's games, including the goals, of course, on the Sky Sports app, and the quickest way to get there is to scan the QR code that you can see on your screen right now. And here is the table. Liverpool within 3 points of a Premier League title. Arsenal may have something to say about. They play against Crystal Palace on Wednesday, and if Crystal Palace get the win, the title will be Liverpool's. Otherwise, it goes to the game against Tottenham next weekend, where Liverpool will have to win in order to seal the title. Chelsea move into the Champions League places. Nottingham Forest go into their game against Tottenham tomorrow night in 6th place. They are out of those Champions League spots. Meanwhile, down at the other end, we already knew that Southampton were relegated. Leicester have joined them. They had to win against the champions-elect in order to keep their season going for a little bit longer. It's almost done for Ipswich, and that's because of the big goal difference. They can get there in terms of their points total, but that goal difference could well see them suffer. West Ham just outside the bottom 3. Wolves move up into 15th. They're level on points with Manchester United and Everton as things stand. More live sport to come for you this evening.
What's you given today?
Listen, I think for the first part of your question, yeah, it's felt like listen, we've not been good enough all year. We haven't. We look at today, and I thought we played quite well today. I thought we moved the ball well. I thought we nullified Liverpool. Listen, Liverpool are a world-class side, but we look back on the season and it's not been anywhere near good enough from our point of view, from a club's point of view. But we've got to look at ourselves as players in the mirror, and we have to now. What's happened, and try and put this club in a better position come the summer. That's what we've got to try and do, because listen, we haven't been good enough. We've took a bit of stick, and we'll keep on taking stick because it's deserved so, because like I said, from minute one this season we haven't been at a level to fully compete in the Premier League, and you need to be, because it'll eat you up and chew and spit you out. So yeah, not good enough, and listen, it's something we've got to look at because we're absolutely devastated. Yeah.
So why have you not been good enough, do you think? I know it's hard straight after. Why have you not been at the level?
I don't know. Listen, I can sit here and probably speak to you about it all day because I'm annoyed as anyone, I'll be honest. It's something that I've got all kinds of questions, but I'm a person and we're a team, and we have to be a team who look in the mirror. We have to be a team who look at ourselves and go, have we done enough this year in the Premier League? The answer is no. It's as simple as that. I think everyone as part of the club will say the same thing, and I think us as a club haven't done enough. It's simple as that. So we've got to now, what we've got left, 5 games I think it is, or whatever it is, we've got to try and put this club in the as best position it can, because that's the most important thing at the end of the day. Lads can't be looking at themselves, and you put this club in the best position as you can to have a good summer, to give yourself a chance to get back out of the league next year.
So how do you do that? How do you use these last few games to put the club in a slightly better position for what follows? How do you do that?
Performances, wins. We've got to win at some point. We have to win a game of football. It's as simple as that. We have not won enough game of football. That's why we're in the situation we're in. And like I said, it's putting the club first. It's putting the people at this football club first, because us as a team haven't been good enough. There are a whole host of factors why we haven't been good enough, but we haven't. So we've got to look at ourselves. So how we can do that is by playing well. I hate the thought as well of you get relegated and you start playing. You start playing with freedom. That should never be the case. You play with freedom all season. But that's what we've got to do now. It's as simple as that. We've got to get a win. And like I said, it's 5 games to try and put this club in a position that it can go again in the summer.
Yeah, I think of you throughout your career as almost the ultimate team man, as a real leader. We've seen that, with England, with Wolves, here at Leicester. Have those sort of qualities, I'm not just talking about you, throughout the group, have they been there in this Leicester team? Because what I'm asking is, quality is one thing, effort, unity, those sorts of things, leadership. You can bridge the gap on those things. Have you managed to do that? Yeah,
listen, we've tried our best with that. Listen, I'm somebody who will give that a million times a day. I'll always do that. It's something I'll do. We've got leaders within the dressing room. Listen, we've got Leicester's greatest ever player in there. So we have leaders within the dressing room. But I'll be honest, I think people look at us when we're not winning games and go, oh, they're rubbish, they're not doing enough, they're not doing this. And we're not doing enough. But at the same time, it takes a hit on you when you're losing a lot of games. And I think you could see it with lads. I think you could see a frailty about us in the last few weeks. I think we've all seen that. We've felt it on the pitch. And no matter how much we stand there and say, you don't want to be like that, you've got to be strong enough to get through it. We weren't strong enough to get through it, and that's where we've got to look at ourselves. So for me, it's majorly disappointing. Listen, I'm devastated. I've been devastated for weeks when the points have been getting further away and Wolves and West Ham have been winning and different things. It's been devastating for myself. So I'll go home, I'll take it on the chin, and we have to take it on the chin because, like I said, the most important thing is the club and putting us in a better place for the summer.
Is that the other point to make, that is the quality gap between the Championship and the Premier League just bigger than ever now?
I don't agree with it. I could speak to you about this all day. I think it's about how clubs prepare to come into the Premier League. The gap is massive, of course. It is. We're not the best league in the world, but I think it's about how clubs prepare, and did we prepare right? Did we set ourselves up right to...
What do you mean by that, Conor? Like, in terms of transfers, or...?
No, not in terms of transfers. We signed some fantastic players in the summer. No, nothing about that. I mean in terms of the way we played last season in the Championship. I think to prepare for the Premier League, you need 9 months foundational, and obviously lost the previous manager before, and then we go in trying to get 6 weeks preparation. Listen, I could talk to you about it all day. We haven't been good enough. It's as simple as that. We look at ourselves, we speak about it, we look at it, and we take it on the chin, and we've got to try and finish the season as strong as we can.
Thank you.
Top man, thank you.
Cheers.
It is a 5th relegation from the Premier League for Leicester. Only Norwich with 6 have more. Conor Coady talked about the difficulty in going week to week, losing game after game, and that run going on. And he talked about the toll that can take.
Yeah, it does. When you consider, obviously, generally, when you get promoted from the Championship, you're winning most weeks, and then it's almost the opposite when you get in the Premiership. And it's difficult. You're going in every Monday after another defeat. It affects everyone at the club, and it drags you down. Just like he's been saying there, he seems like a pretty decent pro. I haven't said that when the previous manager left. Cooper, obviously, Coady was interviewed. And he said we probably needed a new voice. The previous manager had only been there 3 months, so yeah, they do have to look in the mirror. You do have to look at yourself, but they've lacked quality. And if you're 7-8 games now without a goal, you're constantly under pressure. There was a good effort from today. It was too little, too late. It was just a matter of time when Liverpool were going to win the game and score. But yeah, it's a big few months now coming up for Leicester. What to do with the recruitment, which players they hold on to, what's going to happen with the manager. But they've bounced back before. You know, Leicester's a good football club. It's got a good history over the last few years in terms of winning the league and the FA Cup and brilliant training ground. And I've obviously had the setbacks with the owner here, obviously losing his life. They've had the real roller coaster ups and downs, and this is another disappointment for them. But they can bounce back. It's just keeping the heads, keeping a strong group of players who are decent pros to look to bounce back. We've seen other teams go down, but the key is if they do come back up, trying to get a foothold in the Premiership. You look at the league table there. The points total, the goals for, the goals against, it's not great.
Yeah, when I got relegated with Villa, and I just listening to his interview there, and he basically wants to tell us more. And when you go into training and you're working so hard, but ultimately it just comes down to quality. So when you go in there and you see all the staff working so hard, the players are not good enough. And no matter what you do, no matter what you say, the confidence just gets drained right out of you. So they're coming into this game, okay, they know they're going to go down, and they played a better game. It was similar at Aston Villa at the time when the pressure's off. But they need to play well 10, 15 games ago. And when it needed to be stand up and be counted for, it just wasn't there. And I just seen the interview and it just brought back so many memories.
They'd have no belief now, Micah. I know they're playing a hard game. They could play a pub team tomorrow. They probably wouldn't believe they'll beat them.
Yeah.
All that belief has gone out the window now, and it's just... And the next 4 or 5 games, listen, that won't be easy. He's saying there we'll have to look in the mirror and reflect and react. You're supposed to be doing that since the start of the season. You know, you're not going to get a free pass in the next few games that you have in the Premier League. It doesn't... But what I like also about the Premiership, for teams who are struggling, it's brutal. This is a brutal game, and the reality's out there. We've seen Liverpool today, and we're all a little bit frustrated with Liverpool, but they still had loads and loads of chances. So we're always going to win the game, but there's no hiding place. So if you are cutting corners or you aren't doing your homework as a club and you don't think you have the right manager or the right pre-season, you will be found out. Because there's too many good teams out there.
The thing, you can talk about what's happened here this season. I'm talking about promoted clubs. Leicester are a little bit different. We're talking about a team who won the Premier League. Under Brendan Rodgers, missed out on Champions League football 2 years running. Also won an FA Cup. The year after they finish 8th, they then go from 8th to 18th and get relegated. And that's where, the decisions around that season and where they find themselves right now, it's not just about sort of Ruud van Nistelrooy and the players here now. This is going on for 2 or 3 years. And Roy mentioned the position they put themselves in. I've just mentioned the trophies. Got the best training grounds in the country. Leicester, an established Premier League club. So you think of people at the top of the club, I think it's John Rudkin, who's the director of football here. The decisions that have been made at the top level that have obviously, filtered down to the pitch as well. That's where, real questions should be asked.
And what kind of building work can they do? That's what Conor Coady was talking about as well, to make sure that between now and the end of the season, and then again over the summer, that they're ready to come straight back up to the Premier League, because that will be their ambition.
Yeah, well, if Ruud decides to stay on again, we go back to recruitment, which players to hold on to, will they get offered for some of the players? I don't look at too many players out there that they're going to have big offers. Do certain players have clauses where they can leave? Vardy, Coady, these players who have been good pros aren't getting any younger. Do you get rid of them lads? These are all big decisions that have to be made. And they'll have to start now because it's officially now they're in the Championship next year. But that's life. That can happen. You know, we've seen the supporters leaving here today, but Leicester have had big disappointments before. But what's been said, the problem is getting back into the Premiership, is getting a foothold. But we see other teams who went down last year and they're back in the mix to come back up. So keep the heads, try and keep a decent dressing room, a bit of quality, and there's every chance Leicester will bounce back next year. Every chance, especially with the few bob they'll have. But again, it won't be easy. I think you need some statements coming out. I'll be interested to see what happens with the manager and Ruud, whether he wants to say whether they want to keep him or whatever might be the scenario. Does Ruud want to manage in the Championship? He might have a choice, or give him a chance to kind of rebuild his team.
Well, Arne, like for so much of this season, you had to fight, you had to scrap, and again, like for so much of the season, you found a way.
Yeah. And again, we created a lot of chances. Maybe this time even more than normally. And normally we're a bit better if we create chances that we score goals. But today it took us a long time, and of course a great moment for Trent after working so hard to come back, being able to be with the squad and then come in and make the goal that makes a lot of difference is very special for him.
At the start of the game, I think Salah hit both posts in the 3rd minute. Did you go from thinking, it's kind of a matter of time till we score, to as the game wears on, is it going to happen today?
No, I never felt it's not going to happen today because we kept creating chances. But you do know that if you play against a team that's almost relegated or very close to relegation, that it helps if you can kill the momentum immediately by scoring a goal. Hopefully find the second one immediately afterwards, and then it's normally an easy game for you. But if you don't score the first one and the stadium was sold out again because the league leaders come and they get a bit of momentum, they get a bit of belief for a result, then it gets more difficult and more difficult. That's why I was really happy and pleased with the second half where we created so many chances.
Yeah, and I know it's not done yet, but when you're in this situation, does every victory feel like a huge moment? Does every victory feel like a big step?
Yes, but it felt like big moments during the whole season. But of course, in the end, they seem to matter more because either you want to go to the Champions League if you are number 5 in the league, or if you're number 1 in the league, you want to stay in that position. You want to try to stay out of relegation. So in the end, it always feels that it's more important. But yeah, it was a good win, but with a lot of effort again.
Why does this team always find a way, do you think?
Because they just keep going. Mentally, they're really strong, and they just enjoy to play football. They enjoy to be out there trying to create, work very hard, not to concede, because I don't think, apart from the first half where they hit the post, they've created a lot. Maybe in extra time, one shot over quite high over the goal. So yeah, it's a bit of both. They enjoy playing football, and it always helps if you play for something special. Let's be honest.
Great to be able to turn to a player of Trent's quality. How special a moment was that? I mean, every question about him this season has really been about the contract. But forget that for a second. How good is he?
He's incredible. If he sets his mind to it. So I think if you play for such a long time at a club, there are always moments where you feel like, maybe again an away game where I've been so many times. But every time when moments really matter, so when he came in half an hour before the end against Newcastle, that's probably the best I've seen him play. And then against Paris Saint-Germain in the second half, where we really needed a goal, he stepped up. Unfortunately, he got injured in that game. And to know today, he knows when it matters most, he can just bring a bit more. And I think that is something only the top players have. And yeah, he has that definitely.
And those top players, as you say, you want to keep them. So can you see a way that he stays? It's felt for a while like that's been set on a path different to Virgil's and Mo Salah's. But can you see a way that he's doing magic things for Liverpool again next year?
I think my only good answer is to talk about his goal, because all the attention should go to his goal, the importance of his goal. the importance what he did for this club for so many years in a row, and even this season, this is my only season with him. And for him scoring a goal like this, all the headlines should be about him scoring this goal and not about his contract situation.
And again, all season long, you haven't wanted to dream, you haven't wanted to look too far ahead, but it's one game now. Yeah. It's one win. Is it harder and harder to hold back those dreams?
No, it's never hard to dream, but I think it's also clear that you saw this today as well, that we are really focused on playing. The boys deserve to have a day off, and hopefully they're going to enjoy that. And then when we're back together, it's full focus on Tottenham. And looking forward again to a home game. Probably the stadium will be full.
I'd have said it might be, yeah.
So it's a nice game to look forward to, but we have to focus on Tottenham, which we've played already 3 times this season, I think, and it's every time they've made a real competitive game for us. So we know what to expect, and we know we have to be ready.
Okay. So we'll see you at Anfield next week.
See you next week.
Thanks, Arne. All the best to you.
Time for Arne Slot to start building towards that game. It could be done as early as Wednesday, depending on what happens between Arsenal and Crystal Palace, but it could go to that game against Tottenham, where Liverpool will have it in their own hands. On this performance against Leicester, how do you think they're coming into these last few games of the season?
I think they were in better form in the winter months, and none better than possibly the 2 performances against Tottenham this season. When you think of the league game, or certainly the game at Anfield in the Carabao Cup second leg, Liverpool were fantastic. They were excellent in the league game there. Scored a few goals, so it's not quite there right now, but they're getting the job done, and that's what it felt like watching this game, and the way it's felt like for a few weeks, where you come away and thinking, come on, can it be a bit more sort of spectacular maybe in terms of the football or the pace of the game at different times? But then you come away and you look at how many shots Liverpool had, how many big chances they created. And Liverpool have scored 75 goals in the Premier League this season in 33 games, which is a brilliant record. I think Arsenal, obviously, in second position on 61. And I still feel like they can score more goals. Every time I watch them, I feel like, if they could do it with someone else there alongside Salah, who was as clinical as him, in terms of getting more goals, because they very rarely actually go out and sort of beat someone 4 or 5-0. Maybe we'll look at the stats tomorrow on Monday Night Football, exactly. But they feel like they win a lot of games by 1 goal or 2 goals. Very rarely go and win by sort of 4 or 5. And normally you'd associate that with title winners doing that maybe 4 or 5 times in a season. I don't think that's quite happened for Liverpool this season, but in terms of chances created, it feels like they should be scoring a lot more goals.
It's funny because the goal sort of sums that up. Although it was a goal in the end, Van Dijk had a go, Salah had a go, McAllister had a go. It could have been a goal like 3 times before it actually went in from Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, well, it comes from a set piece, and Liverpool were dominant on set piece, especially with Konate and Van Dijk. But the way it comes back out to Trent here, just look at the way he shapes up. This is why he's so important for this team. His technical ability is just second to none. You see it there bouncing around. Are they going to get a goal or not? But look at the way he shapes his body there. And this what separates him from other fullbacks. And I said the other day he's in the top 2 fullbacks. I think he's exceptional in what he can do. Yes, he can improve defensively. We all know that. But what he brings to this team offensively is second to none. Bradley played well today. Defensively got caught out a couple of times. But just the way he shapes up there, it's just perfect. Yes, the goalkeeper should do a little bit better, but I was just delighted for him. Put away the contract, put that to the side for a minute. It's a massive, massive moment for him, and I'm delighted for him because it would have been frustrated, and he enjoyed it. Look at him shout, it's all the emotion coming out. And I feel this season, of course, you want to get him tied down, signed to a new contract, but we forget how quality this player is going forward. He's absolutely sensational, and whatever he does, whether he stays, whether he goes, I mean, he deserved that moment because over the last couple of years, he's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I love him, I really do.
He wanted to concentrate on the moment when he was asked about it. His manager wanted to concentrate on the goal rather than Trent Alexander-Arnold's future when he was asked about it. Is it possible to separate the two, Roy? Is it possible to say this is a great moment without talking about what's to come for him?
Well, you have to, but when you're a footballer, you're going to have these demands, and over the last few months, he's obviously decided to keep quiet about his contract talks. And a lot of fans wouldn't like that, but if you look at the fans' reaction when he scores, fans can be like that. They'll be disappointed with you. But when you turn up and you perform like he has done, and scores an important moment, then it's all forgotten about. There'll still be Liverpool fans up and down the country, all over the world, frustrated with Trent a little bit. But you can't begrudge the guy what he's done on the football pitch, the brilliant player he's been for Liverpool. Is it 350-odd games or whatever? It's fantastic. He's a brilliant player. And the contract thing will obviously be sorted out, I'm sure, over the next few weeks. It clearly looks like he's going to be leaving. But yeah, let him enjoy that moment. But you also have to be mature enough to understand that people are going to ask questions about your situation. He's dealt with it by not commenting on it. And you have to respect that. You mightn't have to like it, but you look at the Liverpool fans' faces there. What if he leaves the next few months? Yeah, a lot of them will be going, you know, they'll be frustrated with him. But they're not frustrated with him today, because that's the modern football fan. The bottom line, he's gone out there and he's done the business. We felt when he came on today, all of us were saying he'd probably scored a winning goal. And that's what he's done. And as poor as Liverpool, I suppose, has been in the last week or two, they've created loads of chances. Two of the defenders have stepped up. They've forced goals or winning goals from set pieces. And that's a good sign. You know, we've always said they have a good knack of winning football matches, even when they're maybe not at their best, but they're still creating loads of chances. They gave up 1 or 2 chances against a poor Leicester team. Leicester obviously not good enough to punish them, but they've won the game. Pretty sure they got the job done next week.
It may already be decided behind closed doors, but if Trent Alexander-Arnold leaves Liverpool at the end of the season, whether it's for Real Madrid or where else, but Madrid are the front runners for this, did he show today, even in that sort of 15, 20-minute cameo, exactly how hard it's going to be, whether it's Conor Bradley or whoever comes in to replace him?
You can't replace him, because what he is, the reason we talk about him so much, I think he's the most talked about fullback we've probably ever seen in the Premier League, is because he's unique. He's different. And you've just mentioned about him defensively. Now, most top fullbacks don't get it thrown at them. They're not very good defensively. But he's so unique on the ball. I think I said 4 or 5 years ago, it's like having Kevin De Bruyne play at right back. You know, that's what it feels like in terms of his ability on the ball. He can come on and change games. So Liverpool aren't going to replace that. So Liverpool need to replace his creativity. They're not going to do that from right back. They need maybe to do that from an attacking midfield position or maybe a left wing position. So the team has to evolve that way. Now, where they can replace him is Conor Bradley's a right back. Conor Bradley shouldn't look at Trent and think, I want to be like him. He's got to be like Andy Robertson was when he was in his prime. A proper fullback, up and down, aggressive, at the winger, maybe overlapping, getting crosses in, underlapping is what the Liverpool fullbacks like to do. So you're not going to be able to replace him, so forget that. But the big decision Liverpool have, or a couple of decisions between now and the end of the season and the summer, is if Trent hasn't committed, which he hasn't, obviously, to the manager for next season, he shouldn't be starting games. He shouldn't be, because
even not for a send-off for him for what he's done for the couple of years. You think about planning for next season.
Of course, Liverpool are not here as a football club to give someone a send-off.
Yeah, but I mean, you win the league for so long. He's been a vital part of that. I mean, yes, I understand what you're saying in terms of, like, you've got to prepare for next season. I totally get that point, I do. But for what he's done for the club throughout his years, been there since a little boy, they're going to win the league, just to give him a few more appearances and say, you know, well done.
No, it's not about that. The point we're being is, in Conor Bradley, you've got a young player. It's not like we're talking about a 27, 28-year-old. It's talking about a young player who had a tough 15, 20 minutes at the start of the game. And that's part of becoming like an experienced player. I went through that in certain games. Gary, who was commentating, would have gone through situations like that. It's not about, oh, let's give Trent a send-off. It's about, OK, we need to assess whether Conor Bradley is the guy for us next season, playing week in, week out. Because the decision Liverpool will have in terms of Trent moving on is, does Conor Bradley become our first choice right back and we buy a backup player who's maybe a utility player who can maybe play centre back? Or are we buying a first choice right back and Conor Bradley's going to have to battle with him? So that lad needs as much experience as he possibly can get. So yes, bring him on, as you did today, if you need to go and win the game, maybe against Spurs or a couple of weeks after that. But in terms of starting games right now, if Trent hasn't committed to the club, which he obviously hasn't, Conor Bradley should be starting every game.
But is there not a question to ask about having your assets on the pitch? If you starting every game with your
next Sunday, who would you start next Sunday if you have to beat Spurs?
Conor. No, what I'm saying is, if this title wasn't sewn up and it was edging heads with Arsenal, you put your best player on the pitch, which is Trent. But Liverpool have won the league. You know,
have you seen enough in Bradley? Because I think he's good enough. If Trent was to I think he's a really good player.
Week in, week out.
We still don't know. That's my point. That's why you have to give him his head now. Sort of 5 games to go. Start him in all these games. He'll have good games. He'll have bad games. He's a young defender. But give him that experience, and then you get to the summer and you make your decision what you do.
It's amazing that we talk about Trent. Trent's a fantastic player. But as if the world's coming to an end if he leaves. Yeah. If he does leave, you wish the lad well. He's done brilliant. He's been a good servant. He's been a brilliant player for Liverpool, but I'm pretty sure Liverpool will survive. Better players have left Liverpool than Trent, and Liverpool are doing okay. You have to also accept, supporters have to accept you're supporting the club. Obviously, you love your players, you have your idols, you have certain players like Dalglish and Rush and all these people, but when they leave, you just continue this.
Exactly.
Good players will come through. That's the name of the game. So, as brilliant as Trent is, Liverpool will be fine.
And the point I want to make about that is, before this team got together, Steven Gerrard, alongside your dad, the two greatest players to ever play for the club, you know, we were in the team together, we didn't win the Premier League. The next manager won the Premier League and won everything with, you know, half of this team and other players who moved on. So the greatest player in Liverpool's history moved on. The next manager won the league and won everything. European Cup, World Club Cup. It just shows you the great clubs, well, as Roy said, he knows better than anyone, but the great club he played for, you'd be fine.
So go next level, what for them to push on or kick on next season, what do Liverpool need in your opinion? Say you was to lose a Trent.
I think Liverpool need 5 or 6 players. I do.
Not necessarily to
much? Yeah, I do. I think they need a lot more pace in the team. I think every area of the team could be looked at in terms of 2 defenders, 2 midfield players and 2 attackers. Yeah.
I think it'd be good for the manager, the Liverpool manager. Watch the strong teams always done over the years. Chelsea, United, go back to Liverpool in the 80s when they were doing really well. They'd also then make a statement this summer. I know about these couple of lads signing deals, which is fantastic, but they'd also go out and buy 1 or 2 or 3 top players, and everyone would go, oh, hey, you send a message to everybody that, yeah, we might have won the league, but we're not relaxing with this. You send that message, and if Liverpool go out and get 1 or 2 world-class players, you're also putting a marker down to the other teams to say, listen, we're hopefully here to stay for a few more years, competing at the top.
Because the point to be made is, since they rejigged the board at Liverpool and since they brought in new decision makers in Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards has come back into the club, hasn't been very active in the transfer market, if at all.
No, so that means there should be plenty to spend this summer. But Liverpool aren't a club who'll just, you know, to pacify the supporters, you know, we're going to buy lots of players, you know, something that Chelsea have been doing for the last years and Manchester United. I mean, look at the state those 2 clubs are in. You know, it's about being brave, which they were really brave. When does a manager ever come to a football club, a new manager, and not really sign anyone for the first team or bring players he knows from his former club? It's unheard of. And they held the nerve. And they get criticised from Liverpool fans. And I get criticised as being an FSG stooge. I'm not.
Are you?
No. But the point I'm making, you have to admire the nerve and what it takes to actually stay strong and say, no, we're not going to panic, we're going to wait for the right moment and we're going to deliver. And that's what they've done for the last sort of 6 or 7 years, and hence why they've been so successful.
Do you think they'll do it this summer, Jamie? Do you think they've got 2 lined up?
Liverpool aren't a club who have a big summer every season. I think Liverpool could have a real go, and then for the next couple of summers, it'll be, OK, we've got this team now, and then they'll go again. And I think history shows you that even when Jurgen Klopp was manager, I think this summer is the right time to do it. Arne Slotter's assessed the squad. It's not his squad. Jurgen Klopp's, and he's got a little bit more out of it than the previous manager did last season, but he'll want to put his stamp on it this summer.
And he's